ink-a-dink, 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 ink-a-dink. Wow!
Oh, it's not the Inky Dinky phone. Well, no, I think he's here. He's right here. The darn old Donald. Wait a second. It could be. I mean, it's usually Elsie. Ooh, it's a whistling wizard. I'm going to send a whistling wizard to voicemail. Actually, it's our friend Lara Sky. That, yeah. Well, we'll have to talk to her later. By the way, it was a wonderful, wonderful time at her house, her and Machi's house on Saturday night. We brought you back some. What do you mean? Cat doesn't do vegetarian. I don't know why. But speaking of vegetarian, I think we got ourselves an account again. I think we've got ourselves an account. I think Little Friskies. We got some Friskies. And I think this is our cha-ching. I mean, we lost Wabbit Labs or Abbott Labs or whichever one it was because we kept calling their product by the wrong name and asking 50% more, 25% more, what, and all kinds of inquisitive questions. David Stevenson, Coldwell Banker, got him. He's got a little skin in the game now. Oh, hey, hold on. It's Lil. She says she's on vacation. She took the Calico Stone is not with us, which means she's rocking in some other universe right now. But she sends her regards. I know you and she are up there in the hereafter together on a regular basis. But hold on. Nice. I'm telling you. You have the best mugs. Of course, now you can do it differently. You can go like, and I saw a video about how I guess it's maybe not just cats, not just dogs, but animals in general send their tongue into the water and actually curl it back around, grab some of the water and bring it back up that way. And that's how they actually drink it. And it was, I don't know, I probably saw it on YouTube. It probably was fake, and there's a couple of things out there, 3 or 4 or a billion on YouTube and all those places that have, made up videos and made up claims. But here, look. Let's get going with it. Let's do it. Friskies. This one is a flaked variety with tuna. Okay. Now, I don't know why they didn't just package up a can of tuna, other than the fact that it was a little bit more expensive. But a little can like this of tuna is like $1, and this was 50 cents. So, okay, Friskies, tasty treasures with chicken and cheese and gravy. Love you too, Lil. And Friskies with salmon and tuna in creamy sauce. Okay, sauce stations instead of sensations. We could do better than that. I'm sure we'll come up with some better taglines for them in the future. But in the meanwhile, we just want to put a word out and say, Little Friskies. It's not root beer. It's not the root beer. It's not the other soda. It's not certainly not. Wow. The cat on the picture of this is just grabbing at some imaginary cream, a little pitcher of cream, and some tuna, and wow, that's kind of crazy too. So we're back on track. We can continue the show. We've got corporate sponsors, Friskies. Thank you, Friskies. Glad to have you. Basil thoroughly believes in your product. And what's the Scrabble board? You got the Scrabble board over there, and now if you recall, a couple of years ago, Basil made some predictions in the NCAA tournament, the basketball tournament, March Madness, and he had every single game from beginning. Looked like he was going to have it to the end. Accurately predicted. He had everything. He had all the games, and he knew exactly which cat teams would move on and which ones would not move on, and only problem was that he looked at a game toward the end of the tournament. He predicted that it would be it was in the quarterfinals, semifinals. It was close to the end. He predicted a game between the Florida Gators and the Yukon Huskies, and said for certain, the Gators would chomp up the Huskies. And except for that game, I mean, you had everything on that game, didn't you? I mean, you were counting on everything Basil had went on that game. He kept on racking up the cha-ching as we went along, and what? Said, well, it's like this. He thought about a fairly good-sized dog, husky, and he thought about an alligator. And he figured that an alligator actually had not just its massive teeth and its large mouth and clenching jaws. Oh, wait a second, I gotta do this right. Its large teeth and its clenching jaws. But it also has a tail. And an alligator can whip that tail around and swat any animal that's it's encountering. And it seems like, what do you mean I'm going on too long? Okay. All right, you something else to add? Okay, go ahead. Okay. Said said the whole tournament was just guesswork anyway. And besides, remember now. Now he's not bringing the very important fact into this, is that he had some help. He had a pipeline, a direct line to Pope Francis's cat, who, by the way, is also named Basil. And interesting trivia piece. There have been 17 popes that have had cats. 17 of them have had cats. Have any of them had dogs? All right. That opened the door to that. Okay, he said, Basil answered me. I said, fork? No. Wait, where's the fork? I don't have it. Okay. So, we'll take your word for it. So, you had St. Francis's cat, Basil, giving you the games, the winners of each game as we went along through the tournament. And actually, yeah, he gave me the backwards rotational right whisker twitch. And, yeah. And the flick of the left ear and the, ooh, look at that. Oh, it doesn't bother him. It doesn't bother him. He does his Pilates on a regular basis. And he's got the clip on the one ear, he's got the microphone on the other ear. And said the Pope's cat Basil was giving him the scores and gave him all the scores in the beginning of the tournament, and got one wrong. Sorry. So I see the Scrabble board, and this time it's not basketball. Appears like it's some political stuff that maybe added on there. I don't know. I'm putting it around, and hopefully I can get it around. A couple letters missing. I mean, well, you've got two Scrabble boards mixed together here, one with red tiles and one with white tiles. And up top you've got Hillary Clinton. I guess the L's missing because she's apparently doesn't exactly thrill liberals, so they grab their L back. Hillary Clinton. Underneath Hillary Clinton in the red tiles it says Bernie Sanders, Democratic Socialist. And somehow there's a C that's red. Okay, I don't know, that's copyright or whatever because Bernie Sanders has copyrighted the term Democratic Socialist. I'm not sure. So anyway, but underneath it, it's got Kansas. Looks like it's Kansas City Royals, except for the C. Well, let me see. Okay, hold on. Okay, there's the C, and there's Y. Kansas City Royals in red letters. And World Series, New York Mets, Kansas City Royals. Are you going to make a prediction? Who do you choose? Have you spoken with St. Francis's cat Basil recently? So no, this time he's got a better source of information. He's been following three friends of his that are doing the online. Well, they claim it's not gambling, but it's gambling. What's it called? DraftKings. And they claim it's not gambling. They claim it's sort of a game of skill. Although I guess the only skill that some folks have is a supercomputer hookup. They have this special set of algorithms that give you a little bit of an edge in which players to draft, which players not to draft, and what to do, and then you score points according to their performance, and I don't know. It's I guess there's a small element of skill in it, but the unknowns have to be many numerous unknowns, and so we'll call it for what it is, gambling. So you've got Kansas City Royals. Are you choosing the Kansas City Royals over the New York Mets? All right, now I'm going to look around. I'm going to see I'm going to look to see if I can find it. No, I don't have your oops, the Donald fell over. The I can't find it, but I'll take your word for it that what your response to that is. Yeah, I'll quote you first. Said, fuck yeah. I'm picking the Royals. And why? You've got to have better algorithms than everybody else in order to make a brash prediction like that. Or is it St. Francis's cat again? No, apparently not. He kind of closed his eyes and gave me that no El Stupido look. But you got Kansas City Royals. Why? Said he's been right in every World Series ever played. And if you look back, you can check this out. You can look back, and any time there's a World Series where one of the teams has these three letters in their team name, that's the team that wins the World Series. You can check it out, he says. You can check it out. Anytime a baseball team has the letters C, A, and T in their names, and I'll put them back because I don't want to. Okay. Then that's the team that wins the World Series. I'll be checking at it. I'm sure the audience will be checking this out. But what happens? Let's say there's two teams, because those are fairly common letters. What happens when two teams that have the best records, that look like they're going to get to the World Series in a given year? What happens when both of them have those three letters in their names? And I'm sure if you look, there's got to be, there's 30 or 32 baseball teams. There's got to be some, more than just one, that has C, A, and T in their names. Said, first of all, El Stupido, and I'm not. He's the boss. He calls the shots. He calls me what he wants. Said, first of all, El Stupido, it did happen once. There were two teams that were destined to be in the World Series. And that year, as it turns out, was 1994. And you can look it up. 1994. That about explains everything. That you got halfway through the season, and somehow or other, the players called it a lockout, the management called it a strike. But at any rate, there was no World Series. And then in 1995, they had a shortened season because the strike dragged on into the next year. They had a shortened season. They had a bunch of teams that got into a arm wrestling contest or something to determine who would end up in the World Series, and that's what happened. So that would have been it. Well, what would have happened then? Okay. Hold on. Okay, I know. Hold on. Okay. It really was nice when we had, what was the root beer we had? We can't mention it anymore because they don't give us any money, so we can't mention them. Well, I can use the term Schweppervest. I can't say Schweppervestens now. I mean, it's a commonly used word in the English language now. Anytime somebody feels that great taste sensation, I've heard people say it. I've heard people say, Schweppervestens. Okay. All right, I know I'm taking this off topic here. Anyway, so there have been quite a few teams, yeah, that have had CAT, C-A-T, in their city name, in their team name, and have made it to the World Series, and every single one of them has won, huh? Well, apparently that doesn't work for dog, because the Brooklyn, then later Los Angeles Dodgers, been in a lot of World Series, won a fair number of them. They've got dog in their name. Well, apparently one, if you combine the K in Brooklyn into the rest of it, you get, who's the comic book cat? And that explains a couple of the wins. Okay. So, okay, enough of that. Any thoughts on the debate between Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders, Martin O'Malley, and two other guys who flubbed the question about what their name was? Okay. Basil said that actually he did some online surveying after the debate, and actually during the debate too. And as it turns out, all the while CNN, Washington Post, New York Times, Fox, pretty much everybody in the corporate media world made remarks during and after the debate about how Hillary Clinton, she knocked it out of the park, to use a baseball metaphor. She knocked it out of the park. She won hands down. She was the best. She was fantastic. She looked presidential. Figure that one out, how that could be. I mean, who looks presidential? I think you have to be president to look presidential, don't you? And at the same time, Basil says he had some things going on, some focus groups going on of his own, and all his focus groups showed that Bernie Sanders carried the night, scored all the important points, was very kind to Hillary Clinton, pointing out that the House committee hearings on whatever it is, I don't know. Oh, Benghazi. The committee hearings were basically just a bunch of malarkey. Basil's part Irish, you know. So, in spite of the overwhelming support for her having won the debate and performed the best, all the stuff that really matters, voter-related stuff. Well, I guess although the folks that work for those networks probably vote individually, but they don't outweigh the excitement that's been there on the Bernie Sanders campaign, and we're gonna see how that plays out starting in Iowa. That's when the rubber hits the road. That's when we'll see who has the ground game and who can get their folks to the caucus and get them to vote, and in any caucuses that a candidate doesn't get 15%. And I guess technically there are only three. I think there's a fourth one that's qualified for Iowa, but I can't think of his name either. So let's say three candidates. If your candidate doesn't get 15% in a caucus, in a precinct, your supporters have two choices. They can either flip to a different candidate, or they can go home. And that should be an interesting thing to see how that plays out. Because candidates generally will tell their supporters, if we don't get the required 15%, then I would suggest that you go over to this candidate or that candidate. And probably in a lot of those cases, it's going to be Martin O'Malley. You know, Martin O'Malley had some really fine things to say about Bernie Sanders, about his ethics, and about his beliefs, and about the things he stood for. Had some nice things to say about him. He didn't say anything bad about Hillary Clinton, but it definitely showed a high level of favorability towards Bernie Sanders. You know what? I think we better get our ads in real quick because we're about done. So at any rate, Friskies, and Friskies. Can I say that, alright, I can't say Schweppervescence, but I can say, they'll make you feel frisky. With that, this has been Basil BuddhaCat Presents, and we'll see how the World Series plays out. Have a great weekend. Bye.
They say they'd rob your grandma blind on Wall Street, fritter her away her Medicare on Wall Street. And Pharma Oil and their pet fox don't care if she lives in a box, so long as they wear platinum jocks on Wall Street, Meow.